chronics from the most extreme wrestling. And not only am I going to be reviewing this brand new Blu-ray from 2011, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line on the most popular superstar of all time, I am also going to be reviewing this book from 2003 that I originally was going to review, but I got sidetracked, and then I went ahead and bought this with Christmas money, and I figured why not just review them at the exact same time. Now, first of all, let's talk about this Blu-ray disc. First of all, it is a documentary. And this documentary is probably the best documentary on the Stone Cold that I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of other ones from back in the day on VHS and everything, but they were more time-specific. A lot of them came out before WCW went out of business, so you didn't get all the WCW stories, pictures, and videos. Now, in this one, it actually was jam-packed with brand new footage from superstars talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was interesting, but made sense because, you know, back in the day, they had a different aspect ratio, and it wasn't widescreen, so it looked different, and it looked weird when they switched back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, all the footage from Stone Cold in his heyday was all in non-widescreen, so it all looks different, but the interviews, I thought it was nice and refreshing that they weren't just calling it in and just showing a bunch of interviews that you've seen everywhere all the time and on other documentaries. It actually stood out the most when I saw Paul Heyman talking in a very recent interview, which is interesting since he doesn't work for the company and everything. He was doing an interview telling the same old story about how he went to ECW and shot out at the mouth and was talking about WCW and everything that made him mad and whatnot. But I knew it was a new interview, but I knew without a question of a doubt it was a new interview when he started mentioning things and adding things into that story, mentioning Twitter and Facebook. I was like, yeah, when I saw this original interview on the rise and fall of ECW, which is a great documentary, by the way, that was released in 2004, I was just like, yeah, this is a new interview. It was also interesting to only see, really, The Miz and CM Punk give thoughts on Stone Cold. There was some other people, there was some older people, but for the most part, it was younger people and JR and Vince McMahon, Triple H, you know, things like that. But I thought it was interesting to have two new guys on there, and for it to be CM Punk and The Miz, obviously guys that they're pushing. Now, on to the content of this DVD. The Blu-ray is fantastic because you get 3 discs and you get exclusive content, exclusive matches even on the very first on the first Blu-ray, which is the documentary side. You get some other matches with Steve and Undertaker Triple H from No Mercy 1999, Stone Cold Steve Austin Kurt Angle from Raw 2001, No Mercy Kurt Angle Rob Van Dam Stone Cold from No Mercy 2001, and The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 19, which that was nice. And then you get a whole bunch of other stuff on the 3rd disc, and it was just good stuff. Also something that I saw on here, and I was like, this is going to be retarded, but I watched it anyways. It was Stone Cold answering your Twitter questions, but actually that was very entertaining. And Stone Cold is just a great guy, and he excels in everything that he does, and that is probably why he is the greatest superstar of all time. Now, this is very funny. When I opened this Blu-ray, I was like, why is Rob Van Dam on the inside of this cover? But there he is. But that was one of the matches that was included. I thought it was the strangest thing to see Stone Cold Steve Austin doing a half Boston Crab to Rob Van Dam as soon as I opened up the case. But hey, it works. But the content on here is great. It runs over 10 hours, so it is completely jam-packed, and the quality is so good on here. You get a lot of interviews from Stone Cold of recent. I mean, he's all over this thing. Unlike The Rock's DVD set that, yeah, didn't have any of The Rock's recent promos or recent talking or anything. It was narrated. Now, this was also narrated, but for the most part, it's Stone Cold talking about his career and his friends and his family talking about it. Now, let's get on to the book. Why did I even bring up this book? Well, you see, I think that you need to read this. If you buy this, you need to buy this. I mean, come on. This thing's $24. Yeah, that's kind of a lot, but hey, you could probably pick up this book for $5 used. I picked it for $8 brand new. Now, every story that you hear in this DVD, you're going to see in this book, or read in this book, and it's expanded. So, you'll get to hear things that you wouldn't have heard on here, probably due to time restraints and editing and whatnot. But you hear a lot more about his family and his growing up, his football, his dad, and his trying to get into the music career and this and that in the book. Stuff that you're not going to hear in here in the DVD. Him breaking into WCCW in Dallas, and USWA and whatever, going into WCW, ECW, ending up in WWE. Talks about in depth his injury, also when he left WWE, and it explains in the Blu-ray, but like I said, every single story is more explained in this book, talking about why he left WWE in 2003, and the book ends right around 2003 or early 2000, I think it's right around 2003, when he was, messing with Eric Bischoff being the co-general manager and swimming in beer and this and that. But yeah, this is not a brand new book by any stretch, and it tells his experiences until 2003, but at the same time, you're going to get a fact or two that you've never heard in this documentary or in any other documentary in every single story. So I would absolutely recommend picking it up, even if you're not a big book reader. I'm not a big book reader, but I loved this book, so I would definitely recommend picking both of these up for the great content that you'll find about Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I felt that this was a great read and a great book, so I will see you guys later.